All right, guys, the great debate. Let's talk about what is Creole and who is Creole. So, I want to preface this by saying that language is ever evolving. Words are ever changing, definitions are changing, we lose words, we gain words. Language is ever evolving, so just keep that in mind. Also, as I talk about Creole, I am talking about Louisiana. I am not talking about Cape Verdeans and Haitians and their language. And there's different Creoles all around the world. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about Louisiana. Now, if you have some corrections as it pertains to Louisiana Creoles, I welcome those. Not the rest of that. I'm not talking about that. Okay, moving along. So, the original definition of Creole, which is also the first two ones they have here in Webster's Dictionary, a person of European descent born especially in the West Indies or Spanish America. They also have a white person descendant from early French or Spanish settlers of the U.S. Gulf states and preserving their speech and culture. So, as we can see, that did not include anyone of African origin, whether they're mixed or what. But moving along. So, as time progressed, the word kind of took a different shape and took a different meaning, and the next definition was people descended from the inhabitants of colonial Louisiana before it became a part of the United States during the period of both French and Spanish rule. This is where we see that Creole is a culture or an ethnicity, not a particular race. This was during a time when America first purchased Louisiana, and you had a bunch of Americans coming in, and Creole just meant the people that were already here, the locals to the old Louisiana prior to America buying it. So it was a way to separate ourselves. We speak French, we speak Creole. You know, Creole is a mixture of like African languages and French. We speak these languages over here, a lot of heavy French and African influence on our language, our food, our music, our culture. You know, this is what we do on this side. Most of them were Catholic, whereas the Yankees, the Anglos that were coming in, they were Protestant. They spoke English. They did things this way. So it was a cultural and ethnic type of thing. You know, according to this, anyone who has ancestry from this era, from the pre-American Louisiana era, would fit into this criteria. So that's what makes it similar to Latino in that it was, you know, cultural, the language you spoke, the food you ate, the all that cultural stuff. But the difference, this is where the difference comes. Latin America was never bought out by the United States. Latin America has remained Latin America. They keep their same mixture of Spanish and indigenous and sometimes African cultures, their music. They still speak Spanish. Everything that they did prior to becoming independent, they still do. Louisiana, however, was bought by America. Therefore, over time, we have become anglicized and Americanized. You know, we've been intermingled for far too long at this point that we are all Americanized. So ethnically, there aren't very many people that are culturally Creole in a sense of, you know, preserving the language. How many of us really speak French or Creole or any type of Louisiana French? How many of us still speak that? Not many at all. I don't know any personally. Not many at all. How many of us are still Catholic? How many of us, you know, like we don't do a lot of what we used to do. Louisiana is still unique and different than the rest of America to an extent, but it is, as the years go on, it gets more and more Americanized. My great-grandparents spoke Creole or French, some type of French dialect. They didn't pass that down. When America bought Louisiana, they outlawed teaching French in the schools. It just, our culture, our stuff we had, we lost all that. That was kind of taken from us, whereas Latin Americans don't have that. You know, they still have their culture. So I said all that to bring me to my next definition of Creole. The word further developed, and I'm not really sure how, but it started to become synonymous with people still of Louisiana heritage, pre-colonial Louisiana heritage, but of mixed race. So they're the people that are mixed with African, French, and Native American. I mean, we're now kind of finding out that none of us are really that Native American as much as we thought, but, you know, still, you know, there's usually a little bit sprinkled in. So when we think of Latinos, for instance, oftentimes we think of a mestizo mixed image. You know, the average Mexican, that is a Spanish and indigenous blood, or we'll think of the average, Puerto Rican, Dominican, that might also have some African blood, but we think of a mixed person. But that is not always the case. And it's evident when you see someone who looks fully black and they're speaking Spanish to you, or someone who looks fully white and they're speaking Spanish to you. They still have their ethnic component, their cultural component that carries over, and you can go, oh, that's an Afro-Latino. Oh, they're white, but they're Latino. You know what I mean? So Creoles don't have that, though, because we were brought up by America, and because we don't really have that strong ethnic component to us, that strong Creole, French, African, we don't have that anymore, that we kind of fall back on the racial part of it, the people who are that racial mixture with that Louisiana lineage, and that is the face of Creole now. So for me, I feel like, first of all, I'm not gatekeeping any of this. We live in a time where we can all kind of identify as whatever the hell we want. But I would say, personally, for me, if I were deeming, trying to gather if I identify as Creole, do I feel like I am, blah, blah, blah. There's multiple definitions of it. Do you fit one of them? Simple as that. I fit the racial component, the racial definition of it. And that's why I claim it, because, I get asked every 5 minutes, what are you, da, 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 da. I could say mixed, but that would give you the idea that I was biracial. Often when we say mixed, you think biracial. I could say black, but that doesn't give you the entire story. I feel like Creole, for me, explains exactly what's going on. It gives you the idea of my whole family is of this mixture. We are from Louisiana. It paints a more specific picture. And it's not to say, no, I'm not black. It's not to say that, because Creole has black in it. If I tell you I'm Creole, you're going to assume I'm mixed with black. So to run from blackness, it wouldn't really make sense to run to that term. If I want to run from blackness, I wouldn't use a term that includes blackness. So my lips are a little shinier. That's because my phone died. I put on some lip gloss while I was waiting. But anywho, back to the task at hand. Who gets to say they're Creole? Well, according to the most flexible definition of the word, it is anyone of colonial Louisiana heritage. If your family was in Louisiana during colonial times, pre-Louisiana Purchase, then you were Creole. Now, that is a definition. If one wants to be astute and look it up, it's there. But we know that most people don't do that. And today in modern times, a majority of people, when you say Creole, they associate that with mixed. They probably associate it to Louisiana, and they associate it with mixedness. So all I say is, when you say you're Creole, what exactly are you trying to present? Are you trying to present that you're mixed? Which is fine. And that's the thing too. Like, people villainize people for wanting to show their mixedness and their whole facet of everything they are. So if you're saying you're Creole because you're showing the mixed heritage of you, that's absolutely fine. The thing is, are you mixed? That's the thing. Only you know if you're saying it to appear to be mixed, or if you're purely saying it because I'm proud to be from Louisiana, my family's from Louisiana, and I'm saying it for that reason. You know the reason you're saying it. It's not a skin color thing. You don't have to be light-skinned to be Creole. I know a lot of people feel like light-skinned people gatekeep it because we want Creole to be, you have to be light-skinned to be Creole. No, not at all. If you're that mixture, then you're that mixture. There's biracial people who come out brown or darker. Like, the skin color isn't the thing. The hair texture isn't the thing. It is simply, are you that mixture, or are you ethnically and culturally Creole? Creole is like Latino in the sense that if you are ethnically that, if you speak the language, if you practice the customs, then you are that. It's just that no one does anymore. I mean, not literally no one, not 0%, but close to. It's such a dead, like almost dead thing. That's why the term is actually pretty antiquated if we use it in terms of ethnicity, because it's not really a living organism anymore, like talking about it. For me personally, ethnically identifying with being from Louisiana, I understand it back in the day when Louisiana was a baby in America and it was still so different, and we want to keep ourselves separate from Americans. But it's been a long time now that we've been a part of America. We are just another American state at this point. But like I said, I do it because it gives you a better idea of my specific racial mixture. So although no, Creole is not a race, the modern definition explains it as something that is a mixture of races, which makes sense because generally Creole is a mixture of things. Creole languages or a mixture of languages. So it would